Okay, I was just doing a really long ramble and I realized I should have been recording the whole time because it was good stuff. So I'm going to put the phone down and I'm going to try to remember as much as I can about what I was just talking about. So I was talking about masculine and feminine female energy in the perinatal provider space. And specifically I was talking about how this is clearly a female-dominated niche. And not just from the client side, but also from the provider side, because there's more female LMTs than males out there. But energetically speaking, right, individually, we all have both energies inside of us. We've got feminine energy, masculine energy. Men do too. They have feminine energy, masculine energy. And it's in flux. It's kind of like the wind. It just, it depends. We've got our dosha, right, our type. But then there's some variability to it. So after, years of doing this work, what I've gleaned back from clients, what they need in terms of their care, what they want in a provider, the number one thing is attunement. They want energetic and emotional attunement. They want their provider to see them. They want their provider to see them, hear them, get them. They want to feel understood, right? They're dealing with things where maybe even their husband, like all these people around them just don't understand what they're going through. And they feel so isolated and alone. And, they're having all of this grief over their identity transformation that is so rapid. In less than a year, they're like a brand new person, with this baby to care for. And their husband or their partner that relationship is going to go through change. And so it's just a lot. It's a lot to process. And so they just want to feel like, hey, I get it. I see you. I hear you, right? That's really the number one need. The second need, though, close on the heels of that, is they want a provider who's knowledgeable and skilled. They want a provider who knows what they're doing, who's competent. And that is a masculine trait. That is a masculine energy to show up with knowledge and skills. Like, I know how to do this. I'm competent. I'm going to fix it, right? That's the masculine energy, is like, I've got what it takes to fix this. Let me get to work. That kind of energetic approach is very masculine. And, the medical community is full of that. It's very like egoic. And so I think, maybe in the wellness community, and especially with female practitioners, the egoic stuff is a real turnoff to many of us. But understand that clients want that. They need that. They need to feel like their provider has the knowledge and the skills to help them. They want that. And also keep in mind, a lot of these women who are journeying through matrescence, the journey of motherhood, they are themselves going through a huge transformation, assuming they were feminine females like before they got pregnant. And then now they are dealing with all kinds of problem solving, and they're being forced into their masculine energy a little bit because they can't just receive, right? And even though motherhood is full of nurturing, literally mothering energy, that's extremely feminine. But as a contrast to that as well, there's a lot of like urgency and pressure and stress around masculine things like doing, right? Tasks and performance and goals with newborn and with babies and with littles. There's constant metrics and things to be goal driven about. So women will be pushed into their masculine energy in ways that maybe they didn't expect, and they're like, oh my God, how do I deal with this? Like, and maybe they're not even cognizant of why they're feeling this way or what the root cause is, So for us to show up in a space with some knowledge and some skills, but then the feminine female parts of us that can, communicate those things tactfully in a way where it's like, we are the leaders in the space. That's the other part of the masculine is, we got this. We're going to drive, right? That's kind of funny. But I will even say to clients, like, you want me to drive? Okay, I got you. Like, enough said. Like, I'll empower them. I'll give them the play optometrist. Like, do you want number 1 or number 2? I'll give them these, in my trauma-informed approach, I will try to empower them with choice, give them choice, give them a voice, right? But if I sense that, like, look, I'm here to not make decisions, right? That kind of vibe. I'm like, okay, would you prefer that I just drive, that I handle things? Yes. Okay. I got you. And that's when I have that little bit of my masculine energy come out and I just do what needs to be done. It's a doing kind of energy, right? It's a provider kind of energy. So, that part of it is not to be dismissed, the knowledge and skills, but then have the emotional attunement to understand how to share your knowledge. Now, your skills are going to be shared in the session, right? At least your technical skills, but all of the other skills, like right now I'm talking about psychological needs and all of the skills that are kind of pertinent to meeting that need or those needs. It's this beautiful marriage. It's this combination of masculine and feminine. Where was I going with that? We have to have the emotional intelligence, the attunement, back to that number 1 attribute, to understand how to tactfully share our knowledge. This is what I was going to say. Across the 5 phases of client communication, the 3 that are the best opportunities to share, well, maybe all 5, but really the 3 that I find myself sharing the most of my knowledge with clients is during the intake, during the session, and then during the post. So the initial introduction is usually on the website. There's lots of knowledge and, but that's more branding and optics and public perception. When they come in to see you is really when I feel that's the golden opportunity to really share, because then you're giving customized feedback and you're sharing in a customized way that's for their needs and goals and preferences. So, during the session itself, you can share a lot. After the session with your little post chat, you can share quite a lot of knowledge, suggest things and there's a lot of tactics and strategies there as well. It's why that's a whole other course, the 5 phases of client communication. Because each little phase can be utilized tactfully, strategically to build that relationship, to build that know, like, trust, and make you their best provider. Like, they're not going to anybody else. You are their person. And that's the kind of relationship, of course, we want with our clients. We love our clients. We want them to love us too. And this is how you build that kind of relationship where it's like you are their person. You are their go-to. You don't bombard them with stuff off the bat. That would be an overly masculine approach, right? If you come in hard and fast with all the things that that's something that women, I'm not just going to say women, but I know a lot of moms and women are very turned off about this from the medical community. Just the classic doctor swooping in, here's what I know you need to do, and da-da-da-da-da. And there's no emotional attunement. There's a total lack of feminine female. But what we do, because we're not in the medical space, we're in the wellness space, it's a little different. We're not just about removing negatives and getting us to a 0 on the spectrum of like signs and symptoms. We're not just at a neutral, at 0. Wellness can take you to infinity and beyond, right? It's just as far as you want to take it, which is a beautiful thing. It's why I love the wellness model over the medical model. It's not just about removing signs and symptoms and getting you to neutral. It's way more than that. It's as deep as you want to go, and it's interpersonal in a boundaried way, an appropriate provider-client way. But there's a level of care in the wellness model and in our niche that is just not, it's never going to really fit in a different medical setting. It's square peg round hole. It's not going to fit. It's very different. So we have a beautiful opportunity to lean in to the ways in which we are different, to provide our clients with something that they need and want and are seeking. And if we can provide that, oh my God, can you even imagine how much they are going to be grateful for that, right? Just, again, the number one need is emotional attunement, is just feeling seen, feeling understood, feeling heard. And then close behind that is knowledge and skills. They want their provider to be competent with knowledge and skills. And then the third thing is, oh shoot, I forgot. What is the third thing? Emotional attunement. They want a provider who's skilled. What, I can't remember, but what I always add as there's a third one that I can't quite recall at this moment. But the one that I always add to the list is flexibility and adaptability, because all of these needs, goals, preferences, limits, all of these things, expectations, all of it is per individual. So as the provider, we have to kind of, we might see 4 clients in a day, or however many clients you see in a day. And that's 4 different shape shifts, not like, masking or anything dramatic like that, but just little tweaks to our approach to match that individual's need. So that goes in line with our emotional attunement skills. We're not going to show up the same exact way per client. There's going to be congruency. We're going to be our authentic self, but we're going to deliver per client, per session, per that day. I mean, like client number 2 on your schedule that day might be one of your regulars. You may have been working with them for years, but you can tell when they come in, they're a little bit more agitated and anxious. What some Ayurvedic practitioners might say is they're really in their vata energy that day. They're in their air, ether energy. They're just, maybe they got garbage sleep the night before. Maybe they slept like not at all, and they're just tired, wired, or something, right? We're going to show up energetically to match that, not to match it, not to mirror it, to equalize with that in the kind of way where we're leading the space. And basically we're going to show up and, like I said, shapeshift just a little bit. Like maybe we won't be quite as like, hey, how you doing? Maybe we'll just default more to a trauma-informed approach that day if we sense that their nervous system needs are a little different that day, right? So I think I'm over explaining, but I hope you get my point about that. So we are constantly, as providers, needing to stay flexible and adaptive, and like reading the room and reading the individual. And it's like our spidey senses are constantly doing that. But then we also have to stay self-attuned, right? That what we do is incredibly difficult, and almost all of the work is invisible. It's energetic, it's emotional attunement. It's like, who teaches us this stuff? Like, we're amazing. Massage therapists are amazing human beings. That's why I love serving our professional community too, because we are really the best of humanity, I believe. We just have such golden hearts, but we do need to stay self-attuned at the same time and have those really solid internal boundaries. And I think if you can work with a trauma-informed, population and approach and niche, if you can work with a perinatal population, it's like, if you can be successful with these women as a provider, you can probably be successful across the board. With enough like of an on-ramp of, if you were deciding to say, oh, I'm not going to do perinatal anymore, I'm going to go work with like you can go work with, XYZ type of clientele. And you might have a little bit of a transition where a period, like maybe a month or 2 where you have to like, okay, but it's going to be like you're a duck in water. If you can work successfully within a perinatal population or any other trauma-informed, let me just say that, any other trauma-informed approach, I truly believe, not to say it's all downhill from there, But this is an elite set of skills that is needed to work with this specific clientele. So just know that it is a challenge on the 3 levels of communication, connection, and care, with the emotional attunement needs, and then the skills and knowledge building. And then I got to go back to my list to find the 3rd point. And by the way, these 3 points are from workshops I've done and then individually had conversations over time, to get a sense of what people need and want in this space. And this is just qualitative data over time is all it is. I never sent out surveys. Surveys are fine. It's a great way to quickly check the pulse of something and get some fast data. But, and I remember back in the day in college, because I got a degree in communications, there was a course that I took that was all on research and how to design studies. It was a very cool class. And also I had a great professor for that one. He was amazing. But it was really cool because like we had a really long assignment that was all about creating surveys. And so to this day, I so appreciate and value and respect that was part of the training that I had in college, because I know garbage in, garbage out when it comes to surveys. And so many surveys are not designed intentionally and tactfully. It's just like a bunch of questions, but the questions themselves, the way that you ask guides the way the responses come in. So it taints the entire experience if it's not intentional. Okay. So I will utilize surveys occasionally, but more often than not, I want a qualitative approach, especially when it's something as subjective as this kind of subject matter. So over time, this is like many, many conversations, both in small group, like when I've done workshops or whatever, and then lots of conversations with moms and women over time. And this is just what I've gleaned over that, is that their number one need is emotional attunement, but then they want their provider to be skilled and trained and competent and able to lead the space. And safety is definitely a thing that they need, but clients very rarely put it to you like that they need safety. What they will say is they want to feel like they can relax. They want to feel like, and I've heard a lot of clients speak to the space as well, the environment, which I know that is a nervous system thing, right? Environmental influence. But they'll say like, oh, well, I really appreciate that the space is clean and quiet, and I love the cushion, or, but they'll speak to the environment in some way, but then they won't be self-attuned in terms of like, the framework of, oh, my nervous system needs to feel safe. Like that's our knowledge, right? So there's an opportunity there to educate a little bit if they want that. But there has to be tact around how we share what we know. Because again, we are attuning to their nervous system needs, and we understand that they may not be able to receive. They may be totally overwhelmed already, right? So we have to be very tactful as far as what we share, how we share it, and when, right? Just all of the tactics around it. And I have certain strategies I'll sometimes employ on that note, but yeah, what we do as providers, it does require a healthy blend of feminine, female energy, masculine, male energy. For any providers out there who are male, you are already, I love male massage therapists so much, because just beautiful humans that can already blend these energies. They already do it so intuitively, at least the male therapists I'm thinking of. They're just some really divinely masculine males. I'm very lucky. I know some very beautiful humans who happen to be male massage therapists, and they are masculine. Like that is their dominant energy. They're not feminine men. They're masculine men, but they are able to thrive in spaces where feelings and vulnerability and emotional needs are at the forefront, and they are that number one need. And the shape shifting that they take on, I mean, I would want to learn from them. That would be the equivalent of me working like as a mechanic or something, like, which I'm God, like even just saying that, I felt that in my body, like as a cringe. Like I would not ever want to do that. So I have so much respect for male massage therapists. And I also empathize and sympathize because I don't feel like they're given the respect that they so deserve for the challenge and difficult. I don't know, maybe that's part of what they like about it, is the challenge. Maybe they want to overcome the challenge of that. That's also a masculine thing, because it's very goal oriented. It's very numbers and like accomplishing and you know, it's that kind of drive that's a masculine kind of energy. So yeah, I really love these providers, but they have to also shapeshift so that they can be aware and tactfully stick to the script, if you will. They have to like understand the number one goal is, again, going to be that emotional safety, the attunement, feeling seen, heard, understood. And there's a possibility that because that is the number one need that so many moms have, pregnant and postpartum, just moms across the board, they want to feel seen, heard, understood, attuned to. And there is a barrier there for a male to relate or understand a pregnant woman or a mom's experience in that way. Even if they're a dad, even if they're a parent, there's a barrier or a perceived barrier, right? An experience barrier on the part of the client. And because it's all about the experience of the client, I empathize and sympathize with these very talented, skilled, capable male therapists who did nothing to create this barrier, and yet here it is, simply because it's the perception that the client has for, oh, they're not going to get me. They're not going to be able to see me or hear me or understand me. And if that's their belief, it's so hard to break through that barrier. So I truly do feel for male therapists. I like to be inclusive as an employer. I hire male therapists, but they very rarely get picked if there's a female who's also available. God, it breaks my heart, and I do what I can do to try to be helpful from both sides, right? But that is a very real barrier because it's rooted in the client's perception and their needs. And they have every right to need what they need, right? Let's just validate the moms for a moment and say it is okay. If they need a female provider to feel safe, you know what? We will get you a female provider. If you're open to whatever gender, I'm going to put you with the best therapist for your needs, regardless of gender. So, and that might be a male therapist, because again, the male therapist that I'm thinking of, that I know, that I keep in my life, that I keep in my circles, they're extremely talented. They're like incredibly skilled and emotionally, they're just beautiful human beings. And so I would hate to, have that barrier continue to get in the way of them shining their light and spreading their gift, So all of that to say, I think the biggest thing that I wanted to impart in this video, and then I'm going to jump off because it's been 24 minutes of me talking. There's a lot that we do that is invisible work. We have to always be attuning exteriorly and interiorly, and understanding that so much of the energy of the space is rooted in feminine energy. What our clients need to feel provided for so they can relax and ultimately have their nervous systems heal and have their needs be met is for us to show up as leaders in the space with a beautiful blend of masculine and feminine traits, styles, approaches, energies. And it's going to be a little different per client. It has to be, it's going to be, and per session. And we need to give ourselves some grace as we course correct and adjust. And then, of course, knowing all of the things on top of it that don't have anything to do with masculine or feminine. It's just like things like trauma-informed care, like all of the things we process internally as our clients are sharing with us. We're thinking, we're in problem-solving mode, we're in diagnostics mode, whatever. But all the things we think and don't externalize, don't say, don't speak to. Or we might ask a question, right? We might, like a little bit, tactfully, we might say a lot, or say a little bit. But yeah, this is really, really beautiful work, because not only are we working for our clients, we're working for ourselves in this way. Think of it as life school. Every time we go to work, we're really going to work on ourselves. If you can frame it that way, that there is so much wisdom in this work for our development. It's not just for our clients. It is. I mean, I always say our client is the reason both of us are here. Like, I will say that to a client, like, you are the reason we're both here. I am here for you 100%. And I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you making the drive. Thank you for being here. It's great to see you. Tell me what you've been experiencing since our last session. Like, what do you have going on? What would you like to focus on today? And then, so I've got my whole approach to it, but I'm leading the space. I'm guiding the experience, but I want their experience to be absolutely rooted in safety and that attunement, feeling seen, heard, understood. They get me. They understand my challenges, my fears, and I feel like I can just, and they feel like they can relax and just let it go, because you're showing up with a certain degree of masculine energy. And you're leading the space, you're providing knowledge, you're providing your skills. Obviously, that's like usually what gets them in the door. Little do they know, it's like the tip of the iceberg. And so we have this beautiful opportunity to lead the space and provide all of the needs, the invisible needs, the emotional, mental, spiritual, energetic needs, from a masculine and feminine place that's balanced, it's dynamic, and it's in balance with how our clients are presenting. Thank you for listening.